Hey everyone, in this video I'll teach you all the mechanics in the Oathsworn Pit dungeon that came with the Scions of Ithelia DLC. The dungeon is located in the northern part of Markarth. It has 3 regular bosses, each with its own hard mode banner, and 3 secret bosses, who don't have hard modes, and give you a passive buff once defeated, and allow you to interact with totems scattered throughout the dungeon to gain a more powerful 1-minute buff. On the path towards first boss, the only notable adds are bears. There's also an even stronger Great Bear in the last trash pack. They don't have any complicated mechanics, they simply hit hard and need to be taunted. The first secret boss you can access is Sluthrug the Bloodied. You can find him by heading to the left before going through the door that leads to the first regular boss. It's behind the banana-shaped house. He has 3.4 million HP in normal difficulty and 5.4 million HP in veteran difficulty. Defeating it will grant you a permanent buff called Bloodied Vitality that increases your healing done and decreases damage taken by 10%. It will also allow you to interact with totems of blood that are scattered throughout the dungeon and grant you a 1-minute buff that increases your max health by 50% and causes you to deal damage around you whenever you get attacked. That scales with your max HP. This boss has very few mechanics. Blood Adds. Allied and enemy blood adds will spawn throughout the fight. If Sluthrug is about to die and you have fewer blood adds than he does, he will state that you have failed the challenge, and he'll absorb his blood adds to heal up. Though I gotta say I had to really go out of my way and focus on only doing single target damage to trigger this. Normally, you'll passively cleave enough enemy blood adds to win this challenge automatically. Blood Frenzy. Sluthrug will channel a conal attack towards the tank for 12 seconds. It starts off very weak, but it ramps up over the duration, and starts hitting harder and harder towards the end. So you have to block during the last few seconds of this channel, but you can easily get away with heavy attacking during the start of it, so it's easy to sustain blocking. Field of Blades. Sluthrug will channel for 3 seconds, spawning icy AoEs around himself. Their damage ramps up, so you can't stand in them for too long. The ramp up resets after 5 seconds. Pin. If the tank runs really far away from the boss, he will cast Pin to immobilize them. Charge. If shortly after casting Pin, Sluthrug is still far away from the tank, he will charge at them and deal damage in an AoE. Flow of the fight. The fight doesn't change much as it goes on. As long as the tank stays close to Sluthrug, he will only alternate 2 abilities: Field of Blaze, the ice AoEs, and Blood Frenzy, the channeled cone. DDs have to avoid the ice and not stand in front of the boss, while the tank has to survive the Blood Frenzy. You don't have to pay attention to the blood adds, as long as you have any form of cleave. And now I'm gonna show you a full clear without any interruption. The first proper boss you're going to encounter is Packmaster Rethelros and his wolf, Malthil. They have the same amount of HP, which is 2.2 mil in normal, 3.5 mil in veteran, and 5.3 mil in hard mode difficulty. There is also a totem of blood present in the arena, so you can keep up its 1-minute buff if you've defeated Sluthrug. Let's talk about their mechanics, starting with fundamental stuff. Protective Influence. While the bosses are close to each other, they enrage and gain a massive damage increase. While this is active, they have red circles around them that indicate the range of this mechanic. Blood Ties. If you focus one of the bosses more than the other, and the difference in their HP becomes too big, they will cast Blood Ties, which will transfer HP from one boss to the other to equalize them. Totem Cast. Rethelros will periodically spawn totems of protection. While these are active, both bosses gain 95% damage reduction, so they are number 1 priority, as you can't really damage the bosses while these are up. Bite. Malthil's light attacks apply a bleed dot, which puts a slight pressure on the tank. Scent and Ensnaring Bolt. Malthil will fixate on and chase one of the players who is not the tank for 10 seconds. During this, she doesn't use her heavy attack and her attacks don't apply a bleed dot. The targeted player has to kite her or block if their build is tanky enough. It's very important not to lead Malthil towards Rethelros during this chase, as it would enrage them. After Send ends, Malthil will be tired and not do anything for a few seconds. During Send, Rethelros' light attacks will be replaced with ensnaring bolts, and they'll target the person Malthil is chasing, rather than the tank. They don't deal much damage, but they apply a slow, making it harder to get away from Malthil. A Vanishing Powder. Rethelros will periodically teleport away, but this ability has only 2 possible locations, and both are on the right, so it's easy to control it. You have to make sure to position Malthil away from these so they don't trigger Protective Influence and Enrage after this teleport. Cinder Shot. Rethelros will start channeling and lines will appear under each player. After a short moment, he will shoot projectiles in those lines. Players need to spread out and block, as you get heavily punished for stacking them. You cannot dodge roll them, and they will also target dead players. In hard mode, they will leave AoEs under each player for 3 seconds, but these don't deal significant damage. Directed Volley. Rethelros starts channeling and spawns 3 volley AoEs under each player. You'll need to kite them. They last 5 seconds and they don't deal much damage at the beginning, but they ramp up very fast. Bear Trap. Rethelros will spawn beast traps around the map. These are very easy to avoid, but if you get caught you'll get immobilized for 3 seconds, and it will be impossible to dodge roll out. So it can be deadly if lined up with another mechanic. Ravage. Malthil's heavy attack. You'll have to dodge roll it if Malthil is currently enraged due to Protective Influence, but otherwise you can block it. Be careful because their range can be misleading. She can heavy attack you from across the map and there seems to be no way to outrange it. Flow of the fight. The fight does not change as it goes on. None of the mechanics are HP based. Tank has to taunt both bosses, keep them separated and make sure Malthil isn't anywhere close to one of Rethelros' possible Vanishing Powder destinations. Whoever gets targeted by Malthil's scent has to run away but also make sure it won't lead to Malthil running through Rethelros, as that would enrage them. Everyone has to kite around a bit when directed volley AoEs are spawning, and spread out when Cinder Shot is happening. Damage dealers have to full focus protective totems when they spawn. Bear traps will spawn periodically, but they're easy to avoid. You don't need to care about which boss to focus on, as their HP will equalize anyway, and there is no consequence for killing one before the other. And now I'm going to show you a full clear without any interruption. In the next few trash packs, you gotta look out for Cinder Moths. Ads that will fixate on a player, chase them, and explode shortly after reaching them. The second secret boss you can access is Bolg of Wicked Barbs. You can find him on the path towards the second boss, behind the door shown on the screen. And in order to open this door, you'll have to interact with 2 braziers, which are shown now. He has 3.4 million HP in normal difficulty, and 5.4 million HP in veteran difficulty. There is no hard mode for this boss, and defeating it will grant you a permanent buff, called Conqueror's Vim, that increases your stamina and magic recovery by 30%. It will also allow you to interact with Totems of Conquer that are scattered throughout the dungeon, and grant you a 1-minute buff that restores ultimate to you and allies around you. Let's move on to mechanics. Tiles. Similar to first secret boss's Blood Blobs, Bolg also has a challenge, but this one can't be entirely ignored. The arena is full of tiles, which start off as neutral. Bolg will claim tiles using his conquest spirits, and you can claim tiles by using synergy on top of them. If Bolg has more tiles than you, as he's about to die, he'll say you have failed the challenge, and heal up to 40% of his health. Conquest Spirits. Bolg will spawn Conquest Spirit on his position, one for each player. These will target a random tile on the map and start moving towards it. If they reach the tile, they claim 5 tiles in a plus shape around their target. They have very little HP and they're CC immune. Since they spawn on top of the boss, it's very easy to simply cleave them down. If some of them manage to reach their tiles, you'll need to synergize and conquer enough of your tiles so that you have more of them than Bolg. Summon archers and teleport. Bolg will spawn 2 archers and teleport across to another edge of the arena. The archers will continuously channel Arrow Storm at a random player. This doesn't lock onto players. It shoots in a straight line, so it can be avoided by strafing. Barbed Rain. Bolg will spawn 2 massive fire AoEs that chase 2 random players. They deal decent damage. Flow of the fight. The fight doesn't change much as it goes on, as none of the mechanics are based on the boss's HP. Tank has to keep taunt on Bolg and he doesn't hit that hard. Either dodge the Arrow Storm or kill the archers whenever Bolg teleports. Kill Conquest Spirits whenever they spawn, and if any of them gets out and claims tiles, claim those tiles back, so that you have more of them when Bolg is about to die. And now a full clear without any interruption.
Face me at my trial of conquest.
The second proper boss you're going to encounter is Anthelmir and her construct. The construct has twice the amount of Anthelmir's HP, and in total they have 5.1 million HP in normal, 8.1 million veteran, and 16.2 million in hard mode. There is also a Totem of Blood and Totem of Conquest present in the arena, so you can keep up one of these 1-minute buffs if you've defeated the secret bosses. Moving on to mechanics. Retrieve and Hurl Axe. In each corner of the arena there is an axe. The construct will use Retrieve Axe to grab one of them, dealing damage in a path between it and the construct. While holding an axe, the construct can use Hurl Axe towards a random player, dealing damage in a similar area. While the Hurl Axe goes on a random player, Retrieve Axe can be completely avoided by not standing in between the construct and any of his axes. Heat Blast. Anthelmir gains a damage shield and starts channeling, to reach which a Heat Blast AoE deals damage around her, and during which she shoots devastating flare projectiles at random players, which damage ramps up. You need to destroy her shield before the damage ramps up out of control, but it's going to be difficult for melee players because of the Heat Blast AoE. Cindermoth Swarm. Anthelmir will teleport to an edge of the arena and spawn a single Cindermoth next to each player. Cindermoths chase a random player, and after reaching them, they detonate after 2 seconds in an AoE, dealing massive damage, but this can be dodge rolled. They cannot be killed once they start the detonation channel. Exploding Barrels. The area is full of red explosive barrels. When a barrel is hit by one of the boss's fiery mechanics, it will explode, leaving behind an AoE that deals no damage and stays there for the rest of the fight. In second phase, these AoEs will periodically spawn Cindermoths. It's very important to rewire your brain and somewhat ignore these AoEs, because even though they look like something you shouldn't be standing in, they deal no damage on their own, and they serve only as spawn points for Cindermoths. And managing space will be very important in second phase, due to angry balefire AoEs. Monstrous Blow. The construct has a heavy attack with a 1.8 second wind up, which the tank has to block or dodge roll. Construct Transformation. When Anthelmir reaches 40% HP, or the construct reaches 70%, which is the same amount of flat HP, Anthelmir and the Construct will move to the center of the arena to do some roleplay, during which Balzrag will drop a head of Malakav's statue on top of the Construct, causing it to trip and insta-kill Anthelmir, which is why there's no reason to damage Anthelmir at all, aside from destroying her shield to stop the heat blast. This begins the second phase of the fight. Angry Inferno. In the second phase of the fight, the Construct will constantly channel Angry Inferno, which is a fiery cone in front of it, that deals damage and also spawns smaller Angry Balefire AoEs under your feet, if you get hit by it, which stay on the ground for 8 seconds. Their damage ramps up with each tick in Veteran difficulty and above. The cone doesn't disappear while the Construct is turning around to use the axe, which makes this fight extremely hard for melee damage dealers. Flow of the fight. Tank has to keep both Anthelmir and her Construct taunted. Focus the Construct but switch to Anthelmir whenever she channels Heat Blast. Avoid Cindermoths whenever she spawns them with her teleport. Block or dodge all the axe throw and axe retrieval. When the Construct reaches 70%, the second phase will begin. From now on, try to keep him away from the center, so that damage dealers and healers can outrange the Angry Inferno, as the boss will be turning around to retrieve and hurl axes. Stay always on the lookout for Cindermoths, that will randomly spawn from AoEs left by exploded barrels. And now I'm gonna show you a full clear without any interruption.
This time.
In the next trash packs, you gotta watch out for Battlesworn. They have been present in the previous trash packs, but never this many of them at the same time. And the reason this is an issue is because they use the Connell channel attack, Blood Frenzy, same as the one used by first secret boss Sluthrug. This ramps up with each damage tick, so with 3 of these, it can ramp out of control if you're not careful. Another ad you have to pay more attention to are Iron Achonachs. Their heavy attacks hit really hard, so you should dodge roll them. And just like in previous trash packs, there will be Cindermoths, which can one-shot you with their explosion. The last secret boss is Grubduthag Many Fates. You can find him on the path towards the third boss, behind the door shown on the screen. He has 3.4 million HP in normal difficulty and 5.4 million HP in veteran difficulty. Defeating it will grant you a permanent buff called Warrior's Visage, that increases your weapon and spell damage by 10%. It will also allow you to interact with Totems of War, that are scattered throughout the dungeon, and grant you a 1-minute buff, that adds bonus flame damage to your light and heavy attacks. The mechanics are extremely simple. Summon Fire Achonach. Grubduthag will rush to a random available furnace to summon a Fire Achonach. They aren't very dangerous, but they are part of this boss's special challenge, similar to the challenges previous secret bosses had. You can also use these furnaces to summon Fire Achonachs. And if Grubduthag has more Fire Achonachs than you as he's about to die, he'll say you have failed the challenge and heal up to 40%. Hammer. A heavy attack with 2.3 second wind up. after which a meteor will drop on each player's and allied Fire Atronach's location. Both have to be blocked. Flow of the fight. This fight is extremely simple, as the boss has only two mechanics. He will alternate the heavy attack with summoning a Fire Atronach. Just block the meteors and cleave down his Fire Atronachs. Use the fort to summon an Atronach of your own when the boss is about to die, so you definitely succeed this challenge. Otherwise, if he summons his own Atronach as he's about to die, you could fail it and the boss will heal up to 40%. And now I'm going to show you a full clear without any interruption.
Face me and my trial of war. More flame for my war machine. My ranks filled. My army grows. Another astronaut rises to my ranks. Better hope you have enough astronauts to win this. You are worthy. The trial of war is you.
The last boss you're going to encounter is Aradros the Awakened, along with his 1, 2 or 3 mini-bosses, depending on the difficulty. He has 2.6 million HP in normal difficulty, 8 million HP in veteran, and 17.9 million in hard mode. There's all 3 types of totems present in the arena, so you can keep up one of those 1-minute buffs. Moving on to mechanics. Molten tiles. The arena is a 20 by 20 grid of molten tiles, with a 4 by 4 square in the middle that is never safe and always deals massive damage. Aradros' various skills will light up the tiles, either temporarily or permanently, and standing on them will deal damage. In hard mode difficulty, this damage will ramp up the longer you stand on it. Fracture. Aradros will slam Aria and a circle in front of him, lighting up the tiles. In hard mode, the circle is bigger and the tiles are lit up permanently. Emblazoned Strike. Aradros' heavy attack, with a 1.5 second windup. It cannot be outranged, so be careful because Aradros can attack you with it from really far away. Twin Fires. Aradros will wind up for 1.8 seconds and then deal massive damage in a cone in front of him. Tanks can block it, other players have to dodge or straight up get out. Awakened Fire. Aradros will spawn 2 Awakened Fire Rats. These only have a simple range attack called Flare, that doesn't deal much damage, so taunting them is not a priority, but eventually they have to be chained in, so they can be cleaved down. Wildfire. Aradros will apply Wildfire to 2 players, prioritizing anyone but the tank, which is an 8-second damage over time effect. In veteran difficulty and above, it lights tiles under your feet every second. In hard mode, it affects 3 players, and the fiery tiles spawned by it are permanent. You need to balance between not moving too much, as it will take up too much space, and not moving enough, as the ramping damage will kill you. Eruption. Aradros slams his sword into the ground, causing the center of the arena to erupt. For the next 20 seconds, random tiles will be setting themselves on fire. These are not permanent, even in hard mode difficulty. Brimstone. 2 or 3 in hard mode, plus shaped indicators will spawn around the arena. After 10 seconds, they will erupt, instantly killing anyone standing in their path. Their length is based on the difficulty, and it's also bugged, because in every difficulty the actual explosion is longer than the indicator. In normal, the indicator is 3 tiles long, while the explosion is 5 tiles. In veteran, the indicator is 7 tiles long, while the explosion is 13 tiles. And in hard mode, the indicators are about 3/4 of the arena's length, while the explosion travels through it all. Split phase. The main arena is surrounded by 3 rooms, each with its own mini-boss. When Aradros reaches 50% HP, he will teleport to the middle of the arena and start setting every tile on fire. Then he will open 1, 2 or 3 doors depending on the difficulty. In normal, it's always the middle door. In veteran, it's the middle door and randomly either left or right. In hard mode, all doors are open. And all mini-bosses come towards you as soon as you attack one of them, which is why you should use the middle door, as this area is the biggest, and you can awaken the smelter there. Left and right rooms explode shortly after their respective mini-bosses are killed. Anthelmir is the middle room mini-boss. He has 275k HP in normal, 2 million HP in veteran, and 2.9 million HP in hard mode. Vicious Strikes. Anthelmir's 4-part heavy attack that deals massive damage and cleaves around the main target, which is why other members of the group cannot stand in front of him. Shield Throw. Anthelmir targets a random player and throws a returning shield their way, which deals damage and stuns on the way out and on the way back. Molten Orb. Starting in veteran difficulty, Anthelmir will spawn molten orbs on 2 closest players. These orbs will tether to the player they spawned on, dealing constant damage and slowing them. After 20 seconds or after moving far away enough to break the tether, these orbs explode, dealing damage to everyone around them. In hard mode, molten orbs spawn on everyone, which is why it's important that at least 2 players explode their orbs prematurely by moving away from them, as otherwise too many orbs will explode at the exact same time, which can easily kill players in more squishy builds. Pyrrhic Remains. Starting in hard mode difficulty, Anthelmir will spawn Pyrrhic Remains on the tank, which is a quite large AoE that does ramping up damage and slows down everyone inside of it. The Smelter. Within the middle arena belonging to Anthelmir miniboss, you'll find an unfinished Iron Achnak. You need to charge him twice with fire fetched from one of the 3 forges within the arena, in order to awaken him, after which he joins you for the rest of the fight. He does around 20k DPS. Myrolor is the right room miniboss. He has 1.5 million HP in veteran and 2.3 million HP in hard mode. Fire Waves. Myrolor will perform a triple attack, each one sending a bigger wave forward. Try to avoid directing these towards your teammates as a tank. Fire Slice. Myrolor will channel an attack that sends fiery waves toward each player. It has to be interrupted. Fiery tornadoes are present in Myrolor's room, and they're traveling around in random directions. As the time goes on, he will slowly spawn more of them. Keep in mind that this mechanic will become completely irrelevant in hard mode, as you'll fight all mini-bosses in the center arena, and these fiery tornadoes won't leave Myrolor's room. Incineration. Starting in hard mode, Myrolor will channel an attack that deals damage in a massive area around him. You have to get out of it. Nilborwen is the left room mini-boss. She has 1.5 million HP in veteran and 2.3 million HP in hard mode. Flash Trail. Nilborwen will cause rocks to fall on top of 2 random players. These have to be kited. Crossfire. Nilborwen will deal damage in a massive circle around her, 5 times, always leaving 1/4 as a safe zone. Try to reach these safe zones and block otherwise. Flash Surge. Nilborwen will jump on top of the tank and spawn a long-lasting AoE on the ground. Summon Stone Atronachs. Starting in hard mode, Nilborwen will periodically summon tiny stone Atronachs. These are pretty inconsequential and can be mostly ignored. Flow of the fight. Start close to a corner so that you cover a minimum amount of space with molten tiles. Try to direct Fracture closer to previous molten tiles and avoid running too much when you're affected with wildfire. Sidestep Twin Fires and chain in the awakened fire rats. At 50% the doors will open. Go inside of them starting with the middle one. If you want to awaken the Smelter, in normal and hard mode difficulties you'll have to do it while fighting the mini-bosses. In veteran, you can just kill Anthelmir, then assemble the Smelter, and then move on to the side room. You can't do it that way in normal, since it's just this room being open, which means after Anthelmir dies you get ported back to the main arena, and you can't do that in hard mode, since all mini-bosses will join you in that middle room. After dealing with the mini-bosses, the fight continues exactly the same as before, with the only difference being that if it's hard mode, you'll have less space to play with, because of the permanent molten tiles. And now I'm going to show you a full clear without any interruption.
she isn't as strong as she once was. I'll guard her, you deal with the elf. Of the fires that will quench! Death comes from above!
And that's it for this video. If you have any more questions, you can comment down below or join our Discord server Wildheart. As always, feedback will be appreciated. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel and check out my Twitch. Thanks for watching and see you next time.